welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Katharine, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my December TBR or to be read list. I have 5 books on this list because on average I read about 5 books per month, so this is pretty reasonable for me and I feel pretty confident in completing this list. So that makes it out to be like 1.5 books per week that I read on average. Sometimes I read more, sometimes I read less, but on average, I read about 5 books, and some of these books are shorter because with December comes Christmas, so I have some Christmas books on this list and they tend to be shorter, so I am feeling very confident, like I mentioned before, in completing this list because some of those Christmas books are shorter. But then I do have some fiction books, just regular fiction books on this list as well, that are a little bit longer. So in total, I have 3 Christmas books on this list and 2 regular fiction books. So let's just get into this because I'm really excited to share it with you. So starting out with the Christmas books, I have Waiting for Christmas by Lynn Austen. She is a Christian fiction author. She primarily writes Christian historical fiction. And from what I understand, this book is about a woman named Adelaide, and she recently got married and she's feeling pretty overwhelmed with the prospect of running a household for the first time, and she has an unexpected orphan that she needs to help out, and then she also has a housekeeper that she's helping out as well and interacting with. And I'm just really excited to read this because it is short. It's around 250 pages, and it just seems like a slice of life type book around the Christmas season. And it also reminds me a little bit of A Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life, I should say, the Christmas movie, and that's one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. So I'm really excited to get into this book. This was supposed to be for a book club that I was attending at the beginning of December, but I actually won't be attending because something else popped up. But I'm gonna read this anyway and enjoy myself reading this, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but I'm gonna enjoy my time while reading this. That's all I'm gonna say. The next Christmas book I don't have a dust jacket on it because I'm a psychopath and I don't like dust jackets. And it's called The Cat Who Came for Christmas, and it's by Cleveland Amory. I actually got this book from my grandmother, who I called Nana, and she would always gift me books during birthdays and Christmases. I believe she got me this for Christmas one year because of course it's a Christmas book. So I believe it's just like almost like a Christmas book, not a Christmas book, a children's book, chapter book. A children's chapter book is what I'm trying to say. Or maybe even a young adult chapter book. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but I think it's either a children's chapter book or a young adult book. I think it's geared towards a younger audience is what I'm trying to say. But I basically think it's just about like a cat and has to do with Christmas. That's all I really know about the book, but I'm excited to get to it. I have had this on my Christmas TBR or to be read list for years now, maybe even decades since my Nana got me this. She is no longer with us, but I want to read it this year in particular. I'm going to make it a priority because I want to honor her in reading this. So that's another book that I have on my Christmas TBR or my December TBR or to be read list, I should say, for this year. And the last and final book I have on my December TBR or to be read list in terms of Christmas books is The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. And from what I've heard, this is a clean Christmas romance, and I think it's about 2 twins who swap places, and it's just like a cute Christmas romance, kind of that like person swap type situation that you often find in movies or in books, and I can't wait to read this. It seems really cute. It's like very small town-esque, and we love that for Christmas books and Christmas movies. So at least I love it. I don't know about you, but I love small towns and Christmas and all the cuteness. So I can't wait to get to this too. Getting on to like just the regular fiction books that I have on my Christmas or not Christmas, on my December TBR or to be read list is the last and final book in the Harry Potter series. As I mentioned before, I don't like dust jackets because I'm a psychopath, so I don't have a dust jacket on this, but it is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This is a chunker, okay? Let me see how many pages are in this. It has 759 pages in it, so it's nearly 800 pages. So it is thick. I am looking forward to getting to this because it is the last and final book in the Harry Potter series. And I guess this is a similar theme to that Christmas Cat book that I mentioned earlier, but my Nana also gifted me this book one year for like my birthday or Christmas, and it's a funny story because I didn't read the Harry Potter books as a kid. I literally watched the movies as a kid, but like I never read the books because I had a hard time reading as a kid. Like I always found it very difficult. I mean, I still kind of find it difficult to read books, but I enjoy them a lot more now as an adult. So I don't know what prompted my Nana to gift me this book. I think it had just been released because when I was growing up, the books and the movies for Harry Potter were simultaneously being released. And I think my Nana must have just guessed that I was reading the Harry Potter books because they were just so popular at the time because they were being published, and also the movies were being released too at the same time. So I think she just thought I was reading the books, so she got me this book. But I hadn't been reading the books. So I'm just excited to get to this book finally after like decades of having this, because I finally read the first 6 books in the series, and now I'm on the last and final book, which is the 7th book, and it's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, as I mentioned before. I'm kind of sad to be finishing the series because I've grown really attached to the characters, but I am sort of glad to be finishing it too because like I know this is a long series and they're thick books, so I can finally check it off my list that I'm finishing these books. And then I want to, of course, watch the final 2 movies as well because I believe this book is split up into like a part 1 and a part 2 for the movies. So I can't wait to watch the movies once I'm finished reading this book. I don't really remember the ending to the Harry Potter series. Like the last 2 last 2 movies, part 1 and 2 of the Deathly Hallows, like were kind of blurry to me because by that point I was probably like a teenager in high school and I watched them, and I was kind of checked out of the story or like the movies at that point because they were so confusing to me. That's kind of part of the reason why I wanted to read the books, because watching the movies growing up were like super confusing to me. So not only did I want to read the Harry Potter series because I wanted to honor my Nana by reaching the 7th and final book in the series, by reading it, I would be honoring her because she gifted me this 7th book. But I also wanted to just understand the movies because now I'm realizing why I was so confused watching the movies growing up, because they leave so much of the details out. And now that I'm reading the books, I'm like, wow, that totally makes sense now. And I'm watching the movies back after reading the books, and I'm like, that's not what was in the book. No wonder why I was confused growing up watching just the movies. But yeah, I can't wait to get to this book and just finally complete this series. It's going to be bittersweet though, because I am of course going to miss reading about the characters because I'm really connected to the characters now. But yeah, I could always reread the series again and of course watch the movies, but yeah, I'm excited to get to this book. And then the last and final book that I have on my December TBR or to be read list is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Apparently this is like a young adult fantasy book about fairies. I did read A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book in that series, in September, I believe. I enjoyed it, but unfortunately I've changed my mind since reading that book. that I don't want to continue with that series because I've heard there's a lot of spice in that series, and even though when I initially completed A Court of Thorns and Roses, I was planning on reading the rest of the series, I kind of thought and prayed on it, and like God just really convicted me about not continuing on with that series because it's just very spicy and there's a lot of sexual content, and just as a Christian I don't want to be reading stuff like that. If you love that series and you have read that or are reading that series, I'm not judging you. You do you, but like I feel really convicted about reading that series. So I thought this would be a great alternative because I've heard it's not spicy at all, and that being with it being like very minimal romance in this, and it is about fairies much like A Court of Thorns and Roses. I do have the other 2 books in this series, so it's a trilogy. There's 3 books. I have the other 2 books, and I'm just really hesitant because I don't know if it'll be for me. We'll see. I'm gonna read it and just see if it is a series that I want to continue. And if I want to continue, I have the other 2 books in this trilogy, so I can head straight into the rest of the series, or I can just donate this to like a little free library or a thrift store or something like that. I just am really hesitant on secular books in general. If you have noticed, I have made a few videos about really switching up like what I'm reading. I still will continue to read. Of course, I love reading. It's one of my biggest hobbies, but I'm just not appreciating any of the books that have been recommended to me on mainstream secular book talk and booktube and bookstagram. I find that they tend to have a lot of spice in them, or that they have like demonic undertones to them, and it's just not something that I want to be reading. But those are the books, the 5 books that I have on my December TBR or to be read list. I'm really excited to get to them, especially the Christmas books, because I'm just like so in the Christmas mood, as you can tell with the screen behind me. I am listening to all of the Christmas music, I'm watching Christmas movies, and I'm of course going to be reading some Christmas books. So I appreciate you watching to the end of this video. I want to say thank you, and if you want to give me a like, comment, or a subscribe, that would be amazing, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!